Okay, here we are ready to sew our square neckline. We're at the machine, and if you have not already installed your zipper, then you want to leave your first 2 inches of the garment not stitched together. That'll allow you to have the seam allowances free right there to deal with that. I'm in half scale, so I am doing everything at about half that amount. In this case, I'm an inch away. All right, let's see here. As well as half scale, I am using a 1/4 inch seam allowance on this. If you were using doing your garment in full size, you may have a 1/2 inch or 5/8 of an inch. It just depends on what size seam allowance you made your pattern with, or if it's a store-bought pattern, what that might be. All right, the way that I set my pins, I always want a pin coming out or inserting into the fabric exactly where my intersection is. That allows me to know that because it was pinned through both layers, that I am right on the spot that I want to be on. And then moving along here, see how much faster this is in half scale. It works nice. And again, I knew right because of where that pin was coming out of the garment, that's where I should line up through both layers for my thing. Check your undersides, making sure that you have your seam allowances nice and flat. That will eliminate bulk and things at seams. Sometimes you can get away with it, but not. All right, coming around my back neck, kind of rounding. Again, as I get over here, I'm going to stop and leave this area not stitched. And you notice I also put my pins in a different direction. That's a reminder to myself that I'm going to do something different with my stitching. In this case, I'm going to start and stop my stitches there, but it might have been a place where I might have switched to a basting stitch. All right, now the key thing here is, let's see if I can get this in the camera. All right, so I've got my corner here. I did not want to clip until I have my front, or my lining and myself all in place and secured at that corner. Now, when I clip up to but not through my stitching, when I go to flip my lining right side out and my seam allowances kind of fold to the inside of the garment, that clip will allow the seam allowances to spread open right here. If you're still getting a little bit of a pull, or the lining keeps rolling to the outside at the corner, go back in. You may just need to do the tiniest of little snips. The other trick I do is I do not take the tip of my scissors past here. I do not try and make my cut and stop my scissors before the mark. It's so easy to go too far. So always make sure that as you're clipping up to, but not through, making sure that you're on, okay, my turn actually was that stitch, so I'm going to go ahead and clip through my stay stitching up to my turn, my regular stitch, okay? And again, what that'll help us do when we go to turn this right side out, there we go, it'll allow everything to fold nice and give us a nice corner turn. All right. The next thing that I will do is understitch, and that helps keep the lining, or if this was a facing, all rolled to the inside and we don't see it. Now, typically your lining would be chosen usually to match your outside fabric. I just did it in a very different color here, so it's clear in the video the differences. So we'll come back here in a minute and I'll show you the understitching, and then we'll press and get a nice finished edge for that.